quick introduction. This is Fred, Mr. Balfour, and he's going to introduce our speaker.
I'm going to do a little housekeeping first. In further appreciation of this school and the principal and the staff, all these mats around here, when Emily and I checked the place out 2 weeks ago, are across the floor for the 300 kids to do tumbling all month. And so the custodial staff moves it all Friday afternoon, and this afternoon they'll move it all back. And the principal, Susan Eschbach, I'm going to write her a nice letter and drop off some flowers next week. I tried to give a handshake, a green handshake to the custodian. He said, can't take that, nope. So, and the principal, I checked because I didn't want to get thrown out because we were doing political stuff on school district property, and she said, no, progressives, well, you're welcome here. So just a fantastic. The toilets are up the hall, long hall up there. As you walk along, you remember your grade school days, especially if you went to old schools that were built before the war, the last legal war in 45. Women to the right, and then guys way down the end of the hall on the left, but you'll see it there. Lunch will be catered lunch. It's downstairs. Right underneath us is a cafeteria. The stuff will be spread out there in wedding reception style, and you can eat down there or come back up here and sit at tables if you need to meet some local small group meetings and stuff like that. I want to pay special thanks to Denise Katzman and Teresa Alt, who did the signage outside, inside, all around, just to get us around, and they wanted to make sure nobody got lost. Okay, I'm going to introduce Bruce Siefert. I'm going to start by saying in March of 1981, I was 40 that year, Bernie Sanders was elected mayor of Burlington, Vermont. In April, he took office. I was thinking about that. That was an interesting time. 4 months later, Reagan fired 11,000 air traffic controllers. We were overseas. We were stationed overseas. We were good friends with a bunch of Australians. They could absolutely not believe that the president could fire 11,000 union people. They took a lot of beer to explain that. The Iran hostage crisis was recently over, but there were still hostages in Iran, which of course brought on the Iran-Contra affair a couple of years later. We moved back to the Boston area about 8 months after Bernie took office, and I was able to wrangle a 16% mortgage. The mortgages at that time were 16 to 19%. It was a deep recession. And of course, OPEC, we thought OPEC was going to run the world. And so it was a troublesome time. Now, the city fathers of Burlington, and if I were a stand-up comedian, I'd do a riff on where's the city mothers in these stories, and our city fathers able to conceive and bring cities to birth by themselves. There's a lot of material there. The city fathers, of course, in these troubled times, were not particularly happy to see a Brooklyn socialist, maybe even a communist, stepping into City Hall. And about 8 months later, got the thickets cleared and set up an Office of Economic Planning and Development. And Bruce Siefert was the guy that did that, and he went on. Bernie was in 3 terms, but he stayed. He's written a book about it, and this is case studies and how to. And I can't say I've read word for word, but I've read through it, and it's amazing. The local radio station did an interview with Bruce. It's a 16-minute interview last week, which if you get excited about what he has to say, and so far I haven't found anybody that doesn't get excited, and want to take it back, that interview is a good way to share it with friends, neighbors, colleagues, bosses, and so on. And the book is for sale. I'm, with a clear conscience, hawking this book. He has books to sell. And I'm going to stop talking, but one last point. If during the day you need to come up and say something, and this mic is handier than that one, you can use either one, but this is handier. So if we start doing Q&A, this is a great place to come. with no further ado, Bruce.
Can people hear? This doesn't. Okay.
Anybody else handier with this thing?
Can you hear me now? No? No? How about now? Can you hear me in the back? Not so? How about this now? Is that any better? You can hear me? You hear me? So? I'm speaking from this. If you can move over here, it'd be easier for me. Okay. Thank you. I'm Bruce Siefert. I used to work for the city of Burlington when Bernie was elected mayor. I was hired in 1983 when the Community and Economic Development Office was created. And I stayed working for the city for over 28 years. And I've written an article about kind of what we did, how to achieve a durable economy, and lessons learned from Burlington, Vermont. I co-authored a book with an employee and a professor from Arizona State and now Purdue, who's a dean, about what we did. And I wanted to share what we learned so other people around the United States and around the world could replicate what we did without necessarily all the heartache and hardships that went with going to do everything. And so I'm going to start by having a quote from Margaret Mead. "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing it ever has." What is a durable economy? A durable economy is one that is nurtured by the community from the ground up and maintains its vibrancy over the long term by consistent attention to the needs of all in the community. All communities are composed of numerous sectors. A durable economy results from nurturing these sectors and linking them together. This approach differs from an economy that, for example, may be based on the presence of one large company or institution, which determines the fate of all. In a durable economy, nurturing the small business sector becomes much more important than serving the needs of one large business, which may decide to relocate at any time. As stated in the book I co-authored about Burlington, Vermont, Sustainable Communities Creating a Durable Local Economy, we describe this approach as, quote, "Just focusing on traditional aspects of an economy isn't enough. Without addressing all the sectors, there's less of a chance that a durable economy will form. Burlington is a laboratory, and understanding how each of these sectors works together may be instructive for other communities in efforts to build their own durable economy." Close quote. Over 35 years ago, the city of Burlington had a population of less than 38,000. Though perhaps considered small in comparison with many communities in the United States, it's still the largest city in Vermont and the financial, legal, and commercial center of the state. Burlington was blighted by numerous vacant storefronts, fleeing businesses, and general disinvestment. The national economy was experiencing a high unemployment rate, and Burlington, a small lakefront city with 5 colleges, was no exception. Opposition to the incumbent city government led to a new administration with a new mayor, 2016 presidential contender Bernie Sanders, and an activist agenda that included ideas for the creation of broadly diverse entities that never before viewed as legitimate city government business. Priorities included the creation of an arts council, a women's council, and a youth center, and demands that the city's university and hospital pay taxes to offset the burden on the elderly and low-income populations. Local businesses who wanted to preserve the status quo and the media labeled the administration anti-business and vigorously oppose the agenda. Nonetheless, with an eye on the 2-year election cycle and energized by the new mayor's leadership, the administration set out to prove itself, working together day and night to develop ideas and put them into action. The goals were simple. 1, make lives better for working people. 2, exceed expectations for basic city services. As it turned out, a focus on these 2 objectives laid the groundwork for a vibrant local economy and has been growing and improving ever since. As stated by Bernie Sanders in the foreword to our book, Sustainable Communities, Creating a Durable Local Economy, quote, community development done right just be one of the most important things that we can do to save America, close quote. It is arguable that community and economic development saved Burlington from economic decline and led to the creation of a durable economy. Opportunities to live and work and play are offered to all members of the community, including young, the elderly, and various disadvantaged residents. We describe this in the following passage in our book. In Burlington, the development of a durable economy began with new leadership whose vision was focused on engaging residents and improving all aspects of the community. A durable community then is one that develops and thrives over the long term because its economy is built from the ground up with people feeling like they are part of and have a stake in the community. To develop this sense of ownership, a community needs something for people to rally around and become part of a group that is taking action to move forward, creating change. The most important factor in creating change is leadership. And the most important leadership quality is its investment in change and growth, which will in turn benefit all members of the community. The dynamics for creating change in a given community will likely take different forms around specific issues and types of government structures. Efforts to move forward will be rewarded when leadership does one of 3 things, all 3 things. 1, has an unshakable vision in the call for change. 2, commits to building public trust in the future vision by engaging and informing the community and including everyone in the process. 3, understands and believes that a movement will blossom from the synergy of the community coming together. If a community is successful in engaging its citizens and organizing them around a central vision, a platform of ideas will emerge and consensus can be reached. This platform becomes a focus and impetus for action, as well as a catalyst for new leadership to emerge from among the previously uninvolved residents. Back in the 1980s, Burlington's high property taxes on fixed-income residents, an urgent need to diversify the tax base and generate new revenue for managing city business. The issue proved to be a formidable rallying cry, and voters responded to those candidates possessing the vision and ideas necessary to catalyze change. In keeping with the fact that activism can create dynamism affecting much more than just the political characteristics of the durable economy, local businesses noted effects on their revenues when they became engaged and involved. Over time, even small impacts build energy, reinforce civic engagement, and foster the development of a robust community where people want to live and work. Essentially, pride of ownership is cultivated, becoming the soil that nurtures all further growth. Investing in strategic economic development plans. Burlington is vibrant and growing because an activist administration invested in long-term strategic plan, and city government has followed it for 3 decades. Strategic economic development planning for building a durable economy in any locality is similar to planning of any activity. It's essential. The costs of strategic plans can be minimal as there are models available for community volunteers or practitioners to follow. There are no costs or downsides to developing a durable economy. It is simply about making the economy work for all members of the community, and when that happens, it takes on its own life. However, constant vigilance is required to ensure that once a community is attractive for investment, it's protected from those who may seek to exploit or destroy it, and that which makes it attractive. This protection can be aided by making changes to zoning rules or other regulations to ensure that when investment occurs, it does not displace existing business or disrupt the cohesiveness of the economy. As John F. Kennedy said, quote, "There are risks and costs to action, but there are far less than the long-range risks and costs of comfortable inaction." Durable economy initiatives. Over the past 35 years, the City of Burlington has developed hundreds of initiatives that community and economic development practitioners can replicate in their own communities, depending upon their own needs. Though all communities are unique, they each have social, political, and cultural frameworks available to leverage in ways that may make sense for their own advancement. It's seldom necessary to reinvent the wheel, as the struggles in communities all across the nation are often the same. It's important to recognize that in order to create a durable economy, initiatives need to be linked across all sectors, even if some were not part of the original idea. It's important to note that clear planning regulations and policies, such as zoning laws, must be in place or enacted so growth can proceed as planned. The following are the sectors that were identified as a pivotal part of Burlington's economy, and each sector is represented in a chapter in our book. The local economy sector, the political economy sector, the social economy, inclusive economy, cultural economy, environmental and sustainable economy, economic development as if people mattered. Each of the components or sectors that I just named of the economy identified can relate to economic development and launch individually or in combination with other sectors, the creation of a durable local economy. It works both ways. Economic development as an innovative approach to various sectors, while the sectors serve as gateways to launching innovative economic development engines. Either way, the focus should be on human and environmental well-being, not driven solely by economics. Shifting the focus to people and the natural environment enables new ways of thinking and new approaches that works better for both. This takes considerable effort and continuous commitment from all involved, with close attention paid to all aspects of the community. The citizens need to know that they are being heard by their political leaders, and the leaders need to be responsive to all the community's needs. At some point in the process, practitioners need to establish a set of fundamental principles that can be cited when trying to make decisions as to how to move forward. These principles can be used to guide efforts and to create process and to help forge collaborative relationships that ultimately produce results in the community. Responsive political capability and strong leadership are critical to producing desirable outcomes. While vision is important, a community must also have the capacity and sufficient resources to implement that vision. In Burlington, development was intentionally approached with a set of principles in mind, with the priority for sustainability. By articulating shared values, people felt empowered to collaborate and make things happen. To duplicate this in their own communities, practitioners can begin by bringing together groups of people with a common challenge or desire. This may take the form of organizing a small business group, members of the disability community, or artists seeking space to work from. Almost any effort will prompt new ideas, opportunities for collaboration, and initiatives for improvement. The process builds upon itself, moving the community forward in small, successive steps. To paraphrase what St. Francis of Assisi said, quote, "Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you're doing the impossible," unquote. When Burlington embarked on developing its strategic plan, 8 economic development policies and 6 underpinning sustainable community development principles emerged. The economic policies are as follows. 1, nurture sustainable development to provide for the city and its residents over the long term. 2, promote and strengthen a mixed economy and work actively to retain existing businesses and jobs. 3, promote and support locally owned and controlled small businesses, including home occupations appropriate to the character of the neighborhood. 4, partner with the private and nonprofit and other government sectors to support existing businesses, attract future development, and conduct joint marketing. 5, invest in the necessary infrastructure, particularly transportation, to strengthen the downtown, both as a regional growth center and as a city neighborhood. 6, work with neighboring communities, regional agencies, and state government to promote land use and development policies that structure the municipality as a regional growth center. 7, support sustainable development activities in targeted areas of the city, including neighborhood activity centers in the downtown. 8, finally, focus technical assistance, marketing, and recruitment for economic development toward targeted industries. The following sustainable development principles are applicable to almost any community in the world and are key to its continued success. 1, encourage economic self-sufficiency through local ownership and the maximum use of local resources. Seal the leaky bucket. The leaky bucket refers to all ways money and resources flow out of a community, providing no lasting jobs or community benefits. 2, equalize the benefits and burdens of development and growth. 3, leverage and recycle scarce public funds. 4, protect and preserve fragile environmental resources. 5, ensure full participation by populations normally excluded from the political and economic mainstream, i.e., low-income, youth, communities of color, and refugees. 6, nurture a robust third sector and fourth sector of nonprofit and for-profit organizations capable of working in concert with government to deliver essential goods and services. What are the lessons learned? Practitioners in other communities interested in actively developing a durable economy can benefit from the lessons learned from Burlington's experience, including focusing on people and jobs is one of the most important lessons learned by the city of Burlington in its community and economic development efforts. Keeping people employed in quality jobs is an essential component of a durable community. Taking care of business entities in the community must be a priority. Business owners of all kinds need to be considered as key partners in advancing public policy initiatives. Success breeds success. Successful projects build upon themselves, and even failures teach valuable lessons. Nonprofits play a dual role. Nonprofit organizations often have missions in alignment with city policy goals. They are important both as employers and as potential partners for city-initiated projects. Investing in or partnering with nonprofits can provide benefits far beyond initial expectations. Long-term vision. Some of the most important economic development strategies require long-term vision. Develop programs and projects which are based on future trends, and that will have a long-term impact. Think of how these projects will affect future generations. Stay focused on present needs. Success is often measured by the number of groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings, but by the time these occur, most of the hard work is long done. It's not seen as interesting or newsworthy to provide assistance to a small business, but it can produce astounding results over time. Stay focused on present needs and let the future publicity take care of itself. Keep pace with technology advancements. A robust, adaptable technology infrastructure is critical to attract and retain business. Inclusion. Making decisions based on policies that are good for everyone in the community will always benefit in the long term. Empower all stakeholders and help them develop capacity to come together with a shared commitment to finding what works. Slow simmer. Community and economic development projects can take a long time to develop. Many projects have very long gestation periods due to public process, permitting, land assembly, securing financing, public controversy, laws, lawsuits, federal and state regulations, personnel changes at all levels, market forces, shifting industry standards, policy, and media controversy. Do the homework. Market research can be an effective investment tool for economic development projects and should be a prerequisite for larger projects. Think local. Many communities have focused their economic development activities on luring large companies with tax incentives or other financial benefits. Quick fixes, such as getting a large company to move to town with an expensive tax break, do not always last and often can't address long-term needs and issues. These companies may be less likely to be committed to a place as those who grew from within the community. Leverage community leaders like yourself. Every community has a pool of community leaders who have the capacity to support community and economic development activities. Engage your community leaders will bring success well beyond your initial expectations. Keep up with the times. The internet and mobile technology have changed the way everyone does business. Social media, fab labs, hackerspace, tech space, makerspace, keeping current with the latest business practices and trends keeps economic development efforts relevant and can help to create new business opportunities. Share information. Sharing knowledge, ideas, and resources with entrepreneurs, other community economic development officials, and education providers quickens the pace of development. Leverage resources. Burlington has been able to garner tens of millions of dollars per year from the public and private sector to help support community and economic development efforts. At the same time, local investment is a key component of successful process and projects. Local contributions of time and money will allow residents and business owners to participate in the development process and foster a sense of vesting and value. Involve everybody. Collaborating, communicating, and networking are key ingredients for success. Network and engage all community members, even if initially doesn't seem to make sense. Government works best as a catalyst and a facilitator. Those of us in community and economic development know you have done your job well when an issue is taken out of your hands and is being solved by the community. Lastly, develop leadership and nurture local businesses. Communities need to plan long-term to develop leaders, retain companies when an owner is retiring, and to start and grow new businesses to replace those that go out of business. In summary, it's been over 35 years since Burlington embarked on a new approach to community and economic development with the mission of, quote, fostering economic vitality, preserving and enhancing neighborhoods, quality of life and the environment, and promoting equity and opportunity for all residents, close quote. Many have worked diligently towards these goals, accomplishing much, suffering some setbacks along the way, and also receiving a few accolades. In fact, Burlington is often referred to as a model of how an engaged municipal government and citizenry can create and foster a healthy and vibrant local economy. Growing a regenerative and durable economy is clearly not about development for development's sake. And it's definitely not an isolated one-time effort. It's more like a perennial garden. It can't be established in a single season. For Burlington, this holds true, where it's about a community actualizing a vision and of what it wants in its own backyard. Thank you. Just so you know, I'll have a sheet for those initiatives, some of the initiatives. There's hundreds of them in the book, but I just have a little handout, which I'll put in the back, of a whole series of initiatives that any community could do if they so desire, so you could take that away if you don't want to buy the book.